Mona comes back in, she wasn't going to be happy about picking me up off the floor. But if there was ever a reason to get stinko in the AM, this was it. I wasn't there at the beginning, but I sure had a front row seat to the end of the weirdest thing to ever hit this town. Maybe any town. I joined the party for the same reason any man would. A gorgeous dame with a wad of cash and a problem.
Hey, boss, you got a client. A real client? Why don't you put away the bottle?
Does client have a name?
Raven Van Slaven. She's a looker.
Well, with a name like that, she better be something. Send her in. Van Slaven. That name was big in these parts. If she was closer than a second cousin, there'd be enough cash to pay for a long, drawn-out, and profitable investigation.
Shall I sit, or would you like to take another lap before I do?
Have a seat, Miss Van Slaven. With curves like that, she could be broke, and I'd still take the case. So what can I do for you?
First, you can pour me a drink. Unless that spearmint bourbon aftershave you're wearing.
Sorry about the lack of ice or mixer, but I'm of the opinion.
Bourbon should be sipped. Neat. Sipping takes time, and I don't have any. I'm here about my father.
Would your father be Bernard Van Slaven?
Yes, but don't think for a moment that because I'm rich that I can...
Miss Van Slaven, your father blew past merely rich a very long time ago.
Nevertheless, I won't be taken advantage of. I do know the value of $1.
The name is Sid, and if I thought about taking advantage, it wouldn't be about my per diem.
Well, Sid, you can call me Raven. And if you do your job, I assure you I will pay you very well.
So then, what's the job? She wanted to know if I'd heard about old rich white guys being murdered, strangled in their own homes. Of course I had. There had been 8 in the past 2 months, with no end or suspect in sight.
And since my father falls under the category of old and white and rich, I'm worried sick. He refuses to hire any extra security, and the police have been of no help.
Sounds familiar. Your father thinks he's invincible. Well, the cops, they're always a day late and $1 short.
Speaking of money, it's $1,000, if you care to count it.
I trust you, Raven. $1,000 gets me for a week. Stakeout, a little rough stuff if necessary. But if I have to kill someone, you will get a bill.
That sounds reasonable. When do you start?
Right now. So tell me, which of your father's houses does he call home?
The mansion on East Main Street. Do you know it?
I've passed it a time or two. The one by the park, right?
That's it. I count on your discretion. I don't want my father to know he's being followed, and I don't want the cops or the press in on it either.
Your father will never know I'm there, and I'll make sure he doesn't have any unwanted guests.
Thank you, Mr. Bothers. And I'll walk out real slow. Give you a chance to take it all in.
I made it from her ankles to her ass by the time she hit the door. I was about to slide back down when she disappeared, and Mona showed up to ruin the moment.
I'm up here, boss. What's the score?
Stakeout. Fill the tank in the thermos. Pay the electric and the rent. And then pay yourself. Just put the rest in the bank.
The rest might be a problem. I think the bank has a minimum when it comes to deposits.
Yeah, real nice. I figured if I kept old man Van Slaven alive for a few weeks, it might just put me in the black.
Hello? Raven dear, how are you? Oh, I sent Carstairs home. He wasn't feeling well. As a matter of fact, I was just locking up. Oh no, don't bother coming over. Now I'm going to bed. Lunch tomorrow. Oh, that'll be fine, dear. Wonderful. I'll see you then.
Hey, boss. Pizza delivery.
Oh, great. Thanks, Mona.
Still quiet?
How's the tomb? 3 more days of this, and we'll earn another payday.
Well, I got a date, so if you need anything else, don't call.
This is fun. I'm gonna take a walk around the property and see if anything goes bump in the night.
Be careful, boss. Those no trespassing signs aren't a suggestion.
I'll stay on my side of the fence. I'll see you tomorrow in the office. It wasn't very late, but the old man must have already called it a night. Lucky him. Never fails. No matter how nice the house, the back alley always looks like crap. There was a sickly sweet smell that I would come to know very well. If I'm dead, this must be hell.
You're not dead, smartass. Come on, get up. Let's go. Quite a bump you got there. Where'd you get that?
Must have been a piece of falling space debris. We live in dangerous times.
Well, listen, smart tool. What are you doing walking around at midnight in that dark alley anyway?
My evening constitutional. My doctor told me the night air was good for my bronchial tubes.
Listen, asshole, you're way too close to a serial murder rap to get cute with me. You tell me what's going on, or I'm taking you to jail tonight.
On the level?
Be nice for a change.
Old man Van Slaven's daughter hired me to keep an eye on her father. Make sure he didn't show up on the obituary page.
You owe her a refund. Van Slaven's dead. Strangled, like the others.
A damn shame. This was a sweet gig.
You seem real broke up about it.
Better than being plain broke.
Broke? It's the least of your worries. Boss wants to talk to you. About your proximity to the murders.
How about my proximity to the guy that sat me on the head before the murder? I might be the only one who's seen your killer.
You saw him?
Maybe.
All right, you're a witness, not a suspect. Either way, you're coming downtown with me. By the way, you're lucky I found you. The uniforms would have left your ass in the car for 2 hours.
I was feeling a lot of things. Lucky wasn't one of them.
Okay, Dick. One more time from the top. What were you doing in that alley?
Clean the wax out of your ears, asshole. I've already told you 5 times.
Tell me again. I don't need a reason to put you in jail. I can hold you for 48 hours as a suspect and another 48 as a material witness. You got that, wise ass?
Or I call my attorney, and he shoves another habeas corpus up your ass to keep the last one company.
Sid, just tell him what you told me. Word for word.
Old man Van Slaven's daughter hired me to keep an eye on him on the sly. I wasn't allowed on the property, so I was staking the place out from the outside walls. I was taking a tour through the back alley when I was hit in the head, possibly by your killer.
Or maybe you killed him. Maybe you hit your head falling off that wall. Really a graceful escape.
Why do I even bother? This is the 9th of a string of old rich white guy murders. If I did this one, I did them all.
Did I just hear a confession to 9 murders?
That'd be great for you, wouldn't it, Morris? You sit on your fat ass all day while people get killed, and then solve the case in between trips to the vending machine.
Blah, 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 blah. In all that noise, I never once heard a denial.
You either let me go, or I call my attorney, and this gets nasty in a hurry. What they didn't know was that I hadn't paid my attorney for the last time he got me off the hook. I could call all I wanted, and he wouldn't answer.
The fuck out of here. You put a face to that lump on your head, you give me a call. You still got my number.
Yes, sir, Chief of Detectives.
2 months, Detective Krantz. 2 months on this piece of shit case, and that knuckle-dragging fuck Stain is the closest thing we got to a lead on this fucking case.
Look, maybe we should let him in on it. On the dirt and the flesh we found on the bodies, you know?
Oh, sure. And then he goes and runs his mouth off to Mel Schwartz at the Tribune, and we got a full-scale panic on our hands in my city. Are you out of your goddamn mind? You keep your mouth shut and keep your eyes on him.
Okay.
Looks like the gravy train got derailed.
Maybe. I don't see this thing to the end of the line.
What? Well, they're already paid for. You may as well use them. Asshole.
Don't you think you've had enough?
Yeah.
You've got a visitor, Miss Van Slaven.
Tell her I'm out.
Should have known. Hire a drunk and take your chances. And now my father's dead and you didn't do a damn thing to stop it.
Miss Van Slaven, I have a bump on the back of my head that says I did try to help. But since I'm not important enough to be on your father's property, well, there's only so much I could do.
I'm sorry. I guess he really did think that he was invincible. Did you get a look at who hit you? Do you think he's connected to my father's murder?
The cops asked me those same questions for about 5 hours. And I'll tell you what I told them. No, and maybe.
I don't suppose you give any refunds.
The money's already been spent, Miss Van Slaven. Since I failed to stop your father from being murdered, I'll keep working to find out who killed him.
Why would you do that?
2 reasons. The cops couldn't find their ass with both hands. And well, if the killer's the same person that hit me in the back of the head, I owe him one.
You find my father's killer and bring him to justice, Mr. Bothers? And there's $5 grand in it for you.
5 large. Now I had 3 reasons to keep looking.
Tip's customary.
The papers were calling it the old rich white guy murders. It lacked pizzazz, but it sold papers. Old man Van Slaven was number 9, with no end in
You got a
sight.
minute, boss?
Sure, what's on your mind?
Well, first of all, you're drinking too much.
I suppose there is a fine line between just enough and too much. Maybe I have crossed it. Anything else?
Yeah. You told Raven Van Slaven that you were still on the case. Why'd you do that?
Well, I'm still on the clock for a few more days. Besides, I failed miserably. I just want to make things right.
And while you're making things right, paying customers are being told you're too busy.
We have other paying customers?
No. But if we did, they'd be out of luck.
I'll tell you what. If another paying customer walks through that door, I'm off this case, okay? In the meantime, let's compare a few notes. So the first old rich white guy was killed about 2 months ago. And since then, 8 more have followed.
About one old rich white guy a week.
And that, Mona, is a pattern. That means I might have a few more days to figure out who the next victim might be.
Well, despite the open season on them, there's still plenty of old rich white guys to choose from. Where are you going to start? You've done a good deal more work on this than I was aware of.
Well, the I in PI stands for investigator, Mona. And that's what I do, investigate. If there's a geographical pattern on here, I don't see one yet.
Maybe there isn't a geographical pattern.
Maybe not. But the murders are connected. And I just have to figure out how.
How did you get this number? Of course I know. I read the news. Why do you think I had the locks changed and hired private security? Have you any idea who's behind this? I had no idea I was the last one. I understand. That just makes this last one all the more valuable. Oh, don't worry about me. I have all the protection I need. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to open up your latest creation. Like I said, I've got all the protection I need.
Detective Krantz is here to see you.
All right, send him in. Did you get lost going to work? Ain't here to spar with me, Bothers. Told the boss I was getting a cup of coffee. Not much time. So, get this. Old rich white guy, number 10, bought it last night. Some douchebag named Kavanaugh. Choked to death by a party unknown. I didn't hear about it on the morning news. Yeah, well, we managed to keep this under wraps. Get this. Police cruiser comes by. Security guard comes out in front of cruiser, bashed in the head. Pretty bad, too. Sound familiar? Oh, yeah. Well, it seems our killer isn't interested in bystanders. Well, that's a good thing. Thanks. So why don't you tell me why you're here? Because it sure as shit ain't for Mona's coffee.
I heard that.
Mona's coffee sucks. But you're right, it's not why I came by. I'm in charge of this case. And I don't have a fucking clue what's going on. I got Morris all over me like stink on shit, as usual. Worst part, I need your help. So Metro Police is wanting to hire me. Fuck that. I got $1,000 in a vacation fund. I haven't had a day off in 7 damn years. You catch this asshole, you can have it. What makes you think I can catch the guy and you come up short?
I'm a cop. I have to operate within the bounds of this thing called the law. He never had that problem. Never will. I figure we give you everything we've got, right down to the last detail. You just run with it.
So you want me to snoop around and catch the killer before number 11? It's a one-way ticket back home, huh? That's it. All right, I like it. I'm in.
Okay, look. We have to have an agreement. All of this stays under that silly-ass hat of yours. Morse can't know. No one can know. You catch a killer, I get the collar. That's it.
All right, first of all, I really like that hat. Second of all, you're a paying customer now, Krantz. No one will know, well, except for Mona, of course.
500 cash, your retainer. Complete files on all 9 previous killings.
Well, I'm not much of a reader, so why don't you just give me the high points?
All white, all old, 67 to 74. Wealthy, every one of them, worth at least 20 million net. All found with a pile of ash around or near the body. No idea the paper was burned. No idea it was on the paper. We know this though. The murders had nothing to do with robberies. In each case, valuables left alone, untouched, left behind.
That's bizarre.
That's not even the weird part. You want to hear the weird part? Our boys fought back. That's right. Managed to scratch the killer. The problem is the flesh that was left under the fingernails suffered from necrosis. No viable DNA.
So you mean to tell me the victims had dead flesh under their fingernails?
You know, you're amazing. Thank God I'm here. You don't miss anything, do you? That's exactly what I'm saying. Fucking killer must have had gangrene hands, which ought to make him easy for you to catch. Well, by the way, when you got cold cocked, do you remember smelling like a sweet aroma?
Yeah, sickly sweet. Like damp earth. Thought maybe it had rained earlier.
Look, you got everything we got. Go to work.
All right. I just need to know where he lives.
Lafayette Street, about a mile outside of town. Can't miss it. Big house, wrapped in police tape. Bye, Mona.
I like Krantz, but I liked his money better. That's why I didn't tell him I was still on the case.
Why didn't you tell that poor sap that you were already on the case?
Well, Mona, honesty is for people that can pay their light bill. The contents of the envelope made it a bit easier, but I was to find out that for every clue, there are 100 questions.
Where are my people?
Saw some uniforms out front. Krantz hasn't shown up yet.
Are you about done here with the shooting?
Yeah, should have him to you in an hour or so.
Yeah. Jesus Christ, Eddie. This little murder spree. It's ugly business. Of course, business is booming for you, huh?
Yeah. Still can't rely on crime photos to cover the bills in this town, though. Gotta shoot what pays. All right. I think they found some prints out back. Gonna check those out.
Hey, listen, Krantz. I just got off the phone with Guinness. They say you're this close to having the world's longest fucking coffee break.
Well, see, that's good because I heard the record for the world's biggest asshole already taken. Sounds I thought we were done here.
Yeah, they're about to put this guy on ice. Maybe we'll get some answers from the slab.
Shitload more questions.
Let's Turning into a goddamn nightmare.
That it is.
Old, rich, white, and dead. 10 of them. And we got nothing.
I can count. And we do have some clues, boss.
Sell them, Krantz, to the Inquirer. Nobody on this side of sanity thinks we have any clues. And they're right. Eddie Finch was here taking snapshots.
I bet he was. Another paycheck, huh?
He'll have them to us in an hour, all right?
What did you see, old man?
What? I'm busy. What do you mean you're shutting it down? I've got plans for a whole new series. Yeah, I'll burn them. But you're gonna have to pay for them first, and I need a nice little severance package as well. That sounds fine. You write the check, I light the match. Look, if I'm not getting paid, I don't need this shit laying around the office, so don't worry about it. Should have seen this coming. Back baby pictures at the mall.
Remember, you get caught snooping around up there, you never heard my name.
Now and then, I felt like the cop's dirty little secret. That was before I knew what a dirty secret really meant. I made sure Mona logged the detective's visit, just in case this was a setup. Another old rich white guy. The libraries all look the same. Dusty old books nobody ever heard of, by authors long dead. The victim had a picture of a naked woman's dead body on a sleazy motel bed. It was an old crime scene photo. But what would an upstanding citizen want with it? It seemed like an odd choice for a bookmark.
Find anything?
Not really. You boys did a pretty thorough job in there.
You know I'm not paying you to tell us what a good job we did.
Well, detective, you send me into that room in the dark with cops on all sides. What do you expect? Let me ask you a question, might help me out. A crime scene photographer, you still using the same guy?
Finch? Eddie Finch? You think he had something to do with this? He got kind of busy when all this started.
So Finch has been setting up the murder so he can make chump change on the crime photographs. all the while leaving thousands of dollars worth of the victim's belongings behind. Is that your theory?
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Finch is in the clear. I just want to talk to him, get a look at his photographs. Fresh set of eyes might reveal something new.
Washing around. No trouble. Yeah, I like it.
Do you know where he keeps an office?
Magazine building. 4th Street, just off Main.
I'll pay him a visit in the AM.
Yeah, well, you call me after. In the AM.
I felt bad about not sharing the photo with Krantz, but I knew it would just land in a box downtown. They call it evidence, but of what?
Mrs. Van Slaven is here to see you. Again.
Does she have an appointment?
Does she need one?
Good point.
Want some coffee?
Just 1 cup.
Sure thing.
Mr. Kavanaugh's been murdered. That's 10 old, white, rich men murdered. I'm just wondering if you're any closer to finding the killer.
I'm closer, Miss Slavin. But I don't have to tell you that close isn't good enough.
I may have a lead for you. I found this in my father's papers when he died. I didn't think anything of it until Mr. Kavanaugh was murdered.
So your father was invited to a party at Kavanaugh's last Christmas. They likely traveled in the same circles as all the victims did.
But maybe this is a lead. Maybe this could connect the dots between all the victims.
Miss Van Slaven, we are not going to do anything. This is a mass murder. The cops have no clues, and I have no clues. You don't need to get in the middle of it.
I'm already in the middle of it. That son of a bitch murdered my father.
And the cops will catch him if I don't first. So just go home, stay out of the way, before you get yourself hurt.
The offer still stands, Mr. Bothers.
She was right. The party invitation was a clue. So far, the cops had been unable to connect any of the victims. But I wasn't about to tell her that. She didn't need that kind of encouragement.
I see you chased her off already. So, what's next?
Eddie Finch. I need to pay him a visit and ask him if he knows anything about old crime photographers.
You want me to chase down his address?
Yes, please. I now had 2 clues to work from. The photo and the invite. Combined with the ashes next to the bodies and the dead skin under their fingernails, it all just added up to more questions. At this rate, I'd solve the case in about 25 years. By the looks of these houses, the crime scene photography business didn't pay much. When it came to finding addresses, Mona was the best. If she made a decent cup of coffee, I'd nominate her for Secretary of the Year. This wasn't the biggest surprise I'd have on the case, but it was pretty damn close. Name's Sid Bothers. I'm a private investigator. I'm looking for Eddie Finch.
What do you want with him? He ain't in trouble, is he?
More than the rest of us, sweetheart. I'm on a case. You need a photographer. Pro. Geek pays.
Well, I'm not his secretary. But if you want to find him, he'll be at the Green Lantern tonight. He goes there every night. Buy him a drink, big spender, and he might just be willing to talk to you.
The Green Lantern. It was about 6 blocks from here, and the only dive bar I didn't frequent. To tell you the truth, I was kind of looking forward to it.
What?
Hey, Eddie, it's me. Some asshole named Sid Bothers just stopped by looking for you. He said he was a PI, and he says he's got a paying gig.
I'll keep an eye out.
He'll be easy to spot. Fedora, trench coat, the whole nine.
End of an era. Time to get drunk.
Sorry, boss. If I'd known you were here, I would have got you a sandwich.
Thanks anyway, Mona. But for coffee for breakfast and bourbon for dinner, I have no appetite.
Any luck finding Eddie Finch?
Some. If my luck holds, I'll be seeing him tonight at the Green Lantern.
The Green Lantern? Isn't that the only dive bar you don't frequent?
I suppose so. Anyway, Eddie's my last chance to get a handle on this case. If he turns up to be a dead end, I got nowhere to turn.
Well, you might as well keep looking around, as long as Detective Krantz is paying you.
I guess so. As usual, Mona was right. As long as I was getting paid, the least I could do is go through the motions, even if I didn't have a clue. Maybe I was giving up too soon. If Eddie Finch knew who took this photo, or who the victim was, I might have a whole new bunch of breadcrumbs to follow.
Well, if you're the gumshoe, sit on down. Carey said you're buying, huh? Johnny Walker, most expensive label you got on the rocks.
Thank you, too. Bring me the tab.
No tab, no check, no credit.
Oh, I almost ran out of choices. I'm usually a bourbon drinker myself. I can see why you come here. Very friendly.
I come here because the beer is cheap and I can walk home. DUIs are a bitch.
All right. I kept up my end, so let's see if you can help me.
What do you got? I remember this. Colleen Dobson murder. Real sensational stuff. Check this out. She's having an affair at a shitty motel. Her husband finds her and carves her up into itty-bitty pieces using kitchen knives they got as wedding presents.
So what happened to the boyfriend?
Who the fuck knows? Cops never found him. He got away. They did catch Pete Dobson, though. He got the chair. They fried him up a couple years ago. You probably heard about it.
Yeah, I heard about it. Well, who took the crime photo?
This beauty is the work of my illustrious predecessor, Mr. Eric Blaine. Best damn crime scene shooter I ever saw. Makes my shit look like an 8-year-old taking digital pictures of his pud.
Any idea why one of the latest murder victims would have this in his house?
Found that in the home of an old rich white guy.
Under a clock.
What time was on the clock?
I don't know why.
Making conversation. Make it a double. A little more ice, please. You know, I do a lot of work with the cops. Not too keen on clues walking out the door.
They got me on the retainer.
I know how that goes. On call 24/7 or shit money.
Listen, do you have any idea why one of the murder victims would have this photo in his house?
Not a clue. Thanks for the high-class booze, Gumshoe. You're all right in my book.
This was turning into an expensive search for clues.
You know that asshole?
Not at all. I needed some information and I needed to get drunk. One of us got what he wanted.
Heard you were a bourbon drinker. That one's on me.
Thank you. I could have sworn I saw something in a black hooded cloak move down the alley, but then it was gone. My worst fear was realized. That was the killer I'd let get away, and Eddie was its latest victim. Sure, Eddie had shit his pants, but there was another aroma that made me sick to my stomach, that sweet stench of decaying flesh. I'd smelled it when I was sapped over the head in Old Man Van Slaven's alley. It was a smell I'd never forget. Eddie had put up a struggle. 5 would get you 10. He had dead skin under his fingernails, just like the 10 previous victims. But Eddie wasn't old and rich, and he didn't live in a mansion like the other 10. So what was the connection? I was taking a big chance. If the cops had showed up now, I'd be explaining myself behind bars. But in death, Eddie Finch had provided me with something he couldn't do when he was alive. He'd given me a real clue. This wasn't just a grudge against old rich white guys. This was bigger. Sure, I covered his body, out of respect, and because I needed time before some good citizen reported this. The cops would be all over his home and his office, if he had one, and I needed some time before they stomped all over the clues. I grabbed his wallet and his keys. That would be enough. It was going to be a long night. I was beginning to wish I'd bought another bourbon or two before I left that bar. Fortunately, I knew where I could have a drink to calm my nerves.
God damn it, Eddie, answer the fucking phone. Shit. Damn it. I'm gonna have to burn these fuckers.
A debit card, $7, and a couple of fast food coupons told me all I needed to know about Eddie Finch's financial health. I kept the cash, naturally. The wallet would have to be thrown away, though. I couldn't be caught with it. His business card gave me an address to visit. Beyond that, his wallet was almost as useless to me as it was to him. No cops, yet. I started to wonder who'd be around to take Eddie Finch's crime scene photo, but I snapped out of that thinking. When it came to that, I'd better be long gone. It helped that Eddie kept fairly meticulous records, especially since it looked like he was always paid in cash. Most of Eddie's cash receipts were easy to ID. The cops, the Santa display at the mall, the occasional hot babe paying for a Skin magazine test shoot. But I'd never heard of Vanguard Publishing.
I heard you the first time. Wallet's gone, keys are gone. It was like $1,000 in an envelope. This was a robbery gone wrong. Somebody missed out on a big payday.
You smell that?
What? Some bum's body odor or the shit in Eddie's pants?
No. Sickly. Sweet. Like a rotten corpse, Krantz. It ain't Eddie. He ain't that ripe. Not yet.
Yeah. You smell it. Sickly sweet.
You got something on your mind, Detective?
No. No, I do not.
Listen, it ain't no accident his keys are missing. You send a couple of beat cops out to his place. Have him check his office, too.
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right.
There's no way this is connected to the old rich white guy murders. No way. All right, let's wrap this up. Get the corner down here.
Cops. Maybe nothing, but maybe, just maybe, someone had discovered Eddie's body. I'd better work fast. I'd been careful to wipe off any prints I might have left. The only thing connecting me to Eddie was a stack of strange photos and a receipt. Nobody but me could make the connection. I was in the clear, or so I thought.
Sorry, bud. You missed last call. Closed up.
You know, that's real law-abiding of you, but I'm a cop. I have some questions.
Can I see some ID?
France? Ritual homicide?
Care for a taste, detective?
Yeah. Bourbon? Meat? I'll pay.
Please don't pay my burr. Father used to be on the drought.
Thanks. You Eddie Finch?
Cheap drunk was always trying to get me to pose nude for him in a sleazy studio. Yeah, I know him.
It's him. He used to come in here quite a bit. Said the bartender was good at it.
Well, now I feel bad.
You're gonna feel worse. Finch was found dead in an alley about 6 blocks from here. That's right. You seen the night?
Yeah. Came in, got some drinks, got drunk and left.
Talk to anybody?
Yeah, some guy channeling Mitchum, circa 1957. He was buying Eddie some top shelf scotch, squeezing him for information. I think I heard him call him Gumshoe.
I know they gumshoe. Fedora, long trench coat, nice good bourbon.
Like I said, Mitchum, sounds like him.
They leave you up?
Nah. Eddie left, and then the Gumshoe left about 10 minutes later.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Nice to drink. The info.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Hey, you ever heard of Vanguard Publishing? Oh yeah, look into it for me. Thanks, Mona.
You were a busy boy last night.
I'm busy every night. What's your point?
My point? Wise ass. Eddie Finch was found dead last night in an alley. Same M.O., by the way, as the old rich white guy murders. And you were the last one to see him alive. Probably.
Well, I think that honor goes to his killer.
Like I said.
What are you saying exactly?
What I'm saying is I know you had drinks with Eddie last night. Green Lantern Bar around 10 p.m. What I'm saying? He's found dead at 1 a.m. And what I'm saying is that puts you in the hot seat at 2 crime scenes, pal. How's that add up for you?
Like 2 and 2 make 5, asshole.
In case you forgot, you hired me to look into this case. And I was talking to Eddie and he ends up dead.
You look real surprised.
This is a serial murder case, Sherlock. Murder doesn't surprise me.
Okay, look. You talked to Eddie. Why?
I mean, did he know anything?
I asked to take a look at the crime scene photographs. He told me to fuck off. Even after I sponsored him to a few rounds of top shelf scotch.
Yeah, well, that's our Eddie.
Why don't you come to me? I've got the whole collection.
Maybe not. Those freelance types usually hold something back.
Maybe not. Holding something back? You holding something back from me, Bothers?
Yeah. But it's for your own good. You want me to find the killer, but you don't need to know all the details.
You know, this case is driving me crazy.
I know the feeling, Krantz. Now go home and let me do my job. You pay me good money, and I intend to earn it.
You keep me posted.
I always do.
Yeah.
I still had a bag full of nothing, and a police detective who might be willing to pin the whole thing on me if I didn't deliver the real killer. I couldn't help Mona, so I decided to do some old-fashioned detective work. If the cops had been here, they were long gone by now. I was beginning to wish I'd held on to Eddie's keys.
You again?
Yeah, like a bad penny.
I have no idea what that means. What do you want?
I was hoping you'd ask me in.
No way. Eddie's not home and I got strict orders.
You know, I did see him last night at the Green Lantern. You're right, he was there.
Yeah, you must have got him really drunk. He wasn't even home when I got here this morning. Probably sleeping it off on a park bench.
Maybe so. But he did ask me to meet him here last night, so here I am.
What's he drink?
Well, when I'm buying, expensive scotch.
That's Eddie. Come on in.
He isn't quite settled in yet, has he? Vanguard Publishing. You ever heard of it?
No, I don't think so. You never did tell me why Eddie wanted to meet you here.
He got an inheritance, and I was hired to find him. We spoke last night. We got a check for him today.
Well, you can just leave it with me.
Cops. Slow, but not slow enough. This place have a back exit?
Wait a second. Vanguard Publishing. I saw an envelope from there once on Eddie's coffee table. It was full of cash. When Eddie saw me checking it out, he got real mad.
Did it have a return address?
No, it was hand-delivered. I know that much. It didn't have a stamp.
I'd lied to her twice with two different stories. She was too greedy and horny to notice. In about 2 seconds, she'd be told the bad news about Eddie. I better be gone. And delivered meant local. Mona would have to take it from here. You want me to answer the phones?
Why bother? They never ring.
Nevertheless, you're in my spot.
These are some nice photos, if you like dead people.
Yeah, some of Eddie's lesser-known work. Find anything?
I found 12 Vanguard publishing companies. The closest one is in Columbus, Ohio.
Nothing local?
Nothing these days. There was a Vanguard publishing company around here about 20 years ago. Specialized in fetish magazines, bondage, S&M, the like. It was owned by a guy named Vladimir Cornelius. He got shut down when a family values mayor got elected.
Where was it located?
Rouse, about a block south from High. As far as I can tell, Cornelius still owns it. He may still live there.
Sounds like another long night. I'm gonna need to get some sleep. Come on.
I'll hold your calls.
When I thought about what happened that night, for a while I really believed it was a nightmare, that I never got up from my comfortable chair in my office. But it wasn't a nightmare, it was worse.
And he died like the others, right? Uh-huh. Okay, right. Well, I'll take it from here. And then there was one. Come on, motherfucker. Keep me waiting all night.
Mm-hmm. So you're telling me it's just like the old rich white guy murders? Uh-huh. Yeah, right down to the dead flesh on the fingernails? Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Well, that's just great. That's just great. You know, there goes our only connection. Unless we can figure out what a hack photographer like Eddie Finch was doing with the richest man in the city. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Uh-huh. I know that. I gotta go. Right. Right. Okay, I gotta go. Bye. Should hang this on Bothers. Then we could close this case.
The place is locked, front and back. Guy wants us to think that he has an alarm system, but it's been disabled. Probably forgot to pay his bill.
Our publisher friend is keen on security. Kind he can afford anyway. You okay?
Yeah, this place just gives me the creeps. I felt like someone was watching me out there.
Did you see anything to back up this feeling?
No, just a chill. And a sickeningly sweet smell. Kinda nauseating.
I'm in the right place then. Where do you suggest I enter the house?
I tried the back door. Looks pretty easy.
Okay, good. Alright, you can go on home. I'll take it from here.
Be careful, boss. This place gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Me too, Mona. Me too. The sickly sweet smell and chill in the air told me all I needed to know. Vladimir Cornelius was next, unless I could stop it.
Did you come here to kill me?
No. But if you're Vladimir Cornelius, I came to talk.
You want to talk, so talk. What's your name?
I looked at the pistol pointed at me, with the finger of a drunk, scared old man at the other end. I decided to play it straight. Bothers. Sid Bothers. Private investigator. Raven Van Slaven hired me to find out who killed her father.
Bernard Van Slave. That's a real sick fuck. He paid well. He never complained. I like the guy. Did you find out who killed him?
Still looking. I thought I had it figured out. Then Eddie Finch showed up dead. Same M.O. I'm having a hard time making a connection.
You connected Eddie to me, though. That's why you're here, right?
Yeah? For a defunct old publisher, I paid him a lot of money for his photos.
You saw those photos?
I don't know. I've seen a file folder full of dead people, all naked.
Damn, I paid to have those photos destroyed. Can't trust anybody these days.
Do you mind if I make a drink?
Go right ahead.
Nice bourbon.
Damn right. It's Kentucky. Why don't you sit on back down?
So why don't you tell me what the fuck is going on? What do 10 old rich white guys, a second-rate photographer, and a smut publisher have in common?
Careful with the disparaging remarks, Mr. Bothers. You still have a gun on you.
My apologies, sir. The connection.
Well, back in the 70s, before AIDS made sex a fucking chore, I was buddies with some young, rich guys. I didn't have any money, but I had access. I had all the blow, I had girls, I had secret party rooms, whatever they needed. It became kind of like a secret club. They were the Demented 10, and I was their pimp. In exchange for all that, my 10 wealthy young friends put me in the adult publishing business. I got rich too. So the 70s became the 80s and it all turned to shit. The 90s just got worse. By that time, my friends had gotten older and plain old fucking women had long since become a bore.
No one ever knew.
Hell no, they could do whatever they wanted. Nobody ever found out. And they all got into their 60s. Nobody wanted to travel much anymore. My publishing career had long since passed, and magazines, they were sick. I was too fucked up to notice it.
And that's when you came up with your next idea, didn't you?
Yeah, we decided to give necrophilia a temple. Van Slaven bought a string of funeral homes, and we were off to the races.
I'd gotten sick to my stomach, but I just kept smiling. Well, that explains the connection between the 10 murder victims. But what about Eddie Finch?
About 3 years ago, everybody turned 70, and the old men decided it was just too much trouble to have a party at a funeral home. So I got back in the publishing business of sorts. We used Bernie's funeral home chain as a studio, and Eddie took the pictures. He even threw in some crime scene photographs. There was a nude body, of course.
You guys give a whole new meaning to coming across a dead body. Did everyone get the magazine?
Yes, it was called Necrographic, a quarterly collection of the sexiest dead bodies we could find. The Demented 10 was my audience, until they all started dying off one by one. Now they're all dead. Eddie, too.
And you think I'm the killer, and that's why I'm here?
I have no idea. But after I shoot you, I'll make up a story that pins every murder on you.
Do you smell something sickly sweet, Mr. Cornelius?
Buddy, I did so much blow back in the day, I couldn't smell shit if you packed it up my nose.
This would be the killer of the Demented 10, Mr. Cornelius. And now it's here to kill you. It was the hand of death come to put an end to Necrographic, and everyone involved with it. Death wanted the photos I had, and as they hit the floor, turning to ash, I knew that the goal had been to wipe the whole mess off the planet. The dead had been mortified by their experience with the Demented Ten, and Death had crossed over to end it and provide a little vengeance. I returned to the bottle that night, but it offered no solace. I knew that Raven would want answers I couldn't give. Raven Van Slavin.
You're drunk, Mr. Bothers?
Yes, I am, Raven Van Slavin. But I'm glad you're here.
Mona tells me you have a lead on the case.
Mona's full of shit. Raven Van Slavin. I have no leads. No idea who killed your father, or anyone else for that matter. The case is cold. Cold as ice. Speaking of ice, I'd offer you a drink, but I don't want to.
I don't understand. You're telling me that you don't have any leads on who killed my father and you're giving up?
No, I don't. And I am, yes.
You're a terrible person, Mr. Bothers. I'm a lousy PI. I have half a mind to sue you for my retainer.
Money's already been spent, sweetheart. Well, you did save yourself $5,000, so do yourself a favor and build a statue of your father's greatness.
I don't know what's gotten into you, boss, but that was heartless.
I'd tell it all to Krantz, and he'd call me a drunk lunatic. That would be the end of it, and Raven would never know the real story. Never.